Hello, Mark. You are our fourth caller.
Hey, how you doing, Bart? Can you hear me?
Pretty good. Yep. Can you hear you?
All right. So playing 2.5, 1500 max at the Tampa Hard Rock.
Oh, another Tampa Hard Rock. The first caller called from Tampa Hard Rock
Yeah,
too.
I actually think I was sitting with him before I changed tables. The guy's voice sounded familiar, and I saw his profile picture. I was like, I think I played with that guy earlier.
Oh, not in the hand that he went over, but
No,
oh,
no, I
okay.
wasn't at the
Oh.
table for that because I didn't remember it.
Well, I mean, his name's pretty unique, Lincoln. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely would have remembered meeting a Lincoln at the table,
so
but I
15,
didn't talk to anybody really.
1500 max buy-in, right? 2.5 Tampa Hard Rock. Okay.
Yep, and
Yep.
we are 950 effective.
No straddle or anything like that.
There is a straddle on.
Oh,
Yep.
there is a straddle. Okay.
Yep. That's
Okay.
why I also said I mentioned it in the email. I was trying to add on right before this hand happened, but the dealer already had cards out. So
Yeah, and that actually happened to me quite a bit. I'm going to go on a fucking diatribe tomorrow on the flagship podcast about some of the weird shit at Boston at uh Encore Boston Harbor, where like they had big games. They had quarter PLO, 5-5 PLO, 5-10 no limit, and we could only buy $2,000 at a time. They wouldn't hand any more, and I had to keep going back to the cage if I didn't have blocks in my pocket. And then this whole charade at the end where I was trying to cash out and I had 10,000 in my rack, and the poker room doesn't cash out money, and I had to walk downstairs where there's literally a line of 300 people.
oh
And it
my
was
god,
and it was like riffraff, dude. Like that casino is not
it
like
sounded like it was as packed as the hard because this happened New Year's Eve,
crazy.
New Year's Eve night, and there was like 300 people on the 1-2
Oh
list.
god. So 2.5 plus a button straddle, 1500 max binder, 950 effective, button straddle. So the small blind acts first here, right?
Small blind, yep, small blind's first act.
And how does the hand go down?
He raises 25,
All right, so the small blind raises to 25. Okay.
and then it folds around to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I squeezed 115.
And what does hero have?
I have ace clubs, five of clubs.
And you're in.
I'm in the hijack.
All right, so hero with ace of clubs, five of clubs, three bets to 115 in the hijack. Okay.
Yep, and then it folds back around to the small blind who calls.
Okay, so small blind calls. It's interesting because that is the tightest possible no limit configuration that you can have where the small blind opens for a raise in a button straddle scenario. Because if you're playing nine handed, normally, right, the blinds go last, pre. But here with the button straddle, he's acting first. He's raising into eight unknown hands. That's the tightest you could possibly be. Now, you have ace five of clubs here, and you've got a couple of people behind you, but you don't have the blinds behind you, right? Because the blinds have already acted. So it's a little bit different. You've got the cutoff on the button behind you, and the button, obviously, he's going to get a little bit of a price because of the fact that he's already in for 10. So, but I could kind of see flatting here sometimes, just because it's super tight. Ace five suited is a decent hand. I mean, you'd like to knock the people out behind you, but you do have a suited ace. It's just something of note. But okay, so you go to 115 and he calls and your heads up. Okay,
Yep, and I got a 250 in the pot.
250. Okay,
Yep. So the flop comes out ace of diamonds, four of spades, four of diamonds.
ace of diamonds, four of spades, four of diamonds. So front door diamond draw, right? And you have a weak ace as the three better. Okay.
Yeah, he pretty quickly checks when action's on him, and I bet 90.
So small blind checks, hero bets 90. Here's my take on this one here. I would even like, man, I might even bet. I mean, 90, I mean, you're going like one third. I might take a very small sizing here, if not check back. I kind of like betting because you're expected to bet here. It's kind of like a range type of bet. I mean, you might have some checks back with like queens and kings. And the other thing too is sometimes about checking back on these boards, which I'm not a huge fan of, is that like people expect you to bet them kind of so. I just don't see people like take two streets with air here as a bluff. Like if you think you're checking back to like induce a bluff on an ace high board, as opposed to like some situations like on raggedy types of boards. So I might have gone a little bit smaller. I might have gone like 60 or 70, but okay, you bet 90.
Okay, so more like a quarter pot. And The me and the guy had been involved like just in the hand prior to this. Me and him got involved in a pretty big hand, which is why I was trying to add on where he called me down with 6-7 off and I had aces. So I kind of felt like he might have thought I was going after him by raising his raise by three betting him. So that kind of like the dynamic between me and him were kind of weird at this point in the hand.
Well, I guess he's not going to just fold like if he's got like a pair. I guess like nines plus.
No, no. He'd never fold, not to a continuation bet on the flop.
So he calls.
Yep, he calls.
All right. So now we're at 430.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then the turn comes out the 5 of hearts.
So you make top two here that plays. This is kind of a fun one because a lot of people don't catch this on these like boards where that are paired where you have, because I could see a scenario. So the turn's a 5. It's ace 4 4 5 hero 3 bet with ace 5 top 2. Like I see a scenario where like the river comes out a high card like a queen or a king. And I've seen this even with people that have played for a long time and like they have ace jack and they think they're chopping against your ace 5. No, you're winning. You have aces and fives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's interesting you say that because that definitely plays a part in the hand later.
Yeah, so this is gin now. I mean, you decide to bet the flop. I mean, now it's just, this is as good as ace. It's better than ace king.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the weird part about the hand is he leads into me on the turn for about half pot for 210.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I do remember this. This was actually, I think, one of my favorite hands here from this clump of hands. So small blind leads here for 210.
Yep.
So whenever I'm in this spot in real time, I always want to try to look at if I called, what would the pot be? How much money would I have left? Because now if you called, it would be according to my calculations, it would be around 850 and you guys would have like 650 left. So it's less than a pot size bet, I would say, left in this spot. It is a rainbow board. If you were deeper, I would absolutely lean towards raising here, as I would probably raise with like kind of a fair amount of what I thought was the best hand here, sometimes with ace king, but it's even better with you having a 5. I mean, he should never have like a 4 here, right? So you block him ever having pocket 5s. The thing that I would say is that sometimes on boards where there's a front door flush draw, I could sometimes get on board with a call to this lead and then hope he checks and then blast all in on the river and maybe he thinks that you busted out on a draw. The thing about this is that the board is dry as hell. And if you call here, it's like if you had kings or queens here against this guy, what would you, let's say you made the same range bet with like kings or queens on the flop and then he pulled this check call lead. What would you do here on the turn?
It would seem a little. I would know that the guy is kind of capable because, as I said before, well, I would say capable is a loose term. He's a very loose, aggressive guy, but he knows enough to know that I probably won't fold to a lead if I have kings or queens in the spot because I'm not always going to put him on an ace just because he called.
Well, I mean, if you think you set up that dynamic and you're not that deep, then it probably is just a call here because then he might value own himself. I mean, you can still get the money in here on the turn. Other thing too is like you've possibly get some backdoor. Like I mean, well, there is a front door flush draw out here, right?
Excuse me. Yeah, there's a diamond draw.
So what for some reason I thought that it was a rainbow board. So you could sort of take what I said earlier a little bit into play here, where you just call and blast off, and he checks river. Right, he checks river, you call and you blast off, and maybe he convinces himself that you busted out on diamonds, but you probably don't need to build the pot up. I think you've got a dynamic here where a draw can miss, and he might think that you could still have like queens jack. The best thing that can happen here is the rivers are break and he checks to you. That's what you're gambling on here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I gambled on because I wound up just flat calling the turn bet.
Okay, so put in for 420, and now it's 850, and you guys have like 600 and change left. Okay.
Yep. And then the river is a really good 8 of spades.
That's a good card. I mean, unless he just luck boxes like ace 8 suited, but I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought in my head. I was like, if he has ace eight suited, I'm just, I get stacked or something.
But how
It is
often
what
is
it is.
I mean is I mean ace? I mean it's such a bizarre play by the guy. Anyways, check call leading. I mean ace eight. That's
Mm-hmm.
stupid.
Exactly my thought.
So what happens here on the river?
So he leads into me again for $185, which just kind of screamed block bet to me.
Oh yeah, I'm raising this all day long. You guys have like 600 left, right? Ish.
Yep.
Okay.
I would have like I believe it was right around 400 after the on top of
Right
after
on
the
top of
185.
because even if he bet like 300 here at the end, I'm still jamming.
Yep.
If he bet 300 here, so let's say he bets half his stack, 3 into 850. The way that this hand goes down, you have better than ace king, and then you get into this situation which is reverse pot odds. I like to call reverse pot odds, where let's say he bet 300 on the river and he's got 300 left. Your
Yep.
shove is giving him such a great price that he's going to be actually going to be calling with a wider range. It's going to be, if he went 300 here, it would be like 1750, 300 for him to call if you shoved. So
Yep.
I can't actually envision a scenario when you guys only have 600 left where he bets an amount that I'm not shoving on a brick, whether it's
Yeah.
500, 400 because of the reverse pot odds. And people are like, what are you going to get called with? The guy's going to get 10-1 if he bets 400 and the guy in the hero shoves for 200 more. He's got better than ace king, right?
Yeah.
So
he can't do that.
I mean,
he can't fold.
so I mean, I think at this point now, I mean, at 185, I mean, you can only raise 400 on top. It's just a shove, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I tanked for about 15, 30 seconds and I shove over the top.
So small blind goes 185 and hero shoves. I would have played it the same way.
Yeah, I didn't really see what else I could do because I know he's probably never folding ace jack plus here. Because like you said on the turn, I just think he's kind of going to put me on missed diamonds a lot. Or just like a weaker ace or an ace that he's chopping with.
Well, I mean, just one little thing on that though too is maybe your opponent incorrectly thinks that, but when you put somebody in a range of 3-betting hands, they're going to have more ace X here than busted diamond draws in your spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying in case he thinks that I'm like, just barreling off into him because like I said, the ace's hand before this, I think he might have just had it in his head that I was coming after him on an ace high board because it favored me.
Magical 55 says, not sure what are we getting called here by? What are we losing to? Now, people say,
exactly.
oh, 7-6 of diamonds. I mean, okay, one hand, but again, I'll go back to this. The guy bet 185. They only have 600 left on the river. So when Mark shoves all in here, so it's like 1035, it's like 1635, like 400 for the guy to call. Is he going to fold like ace king, ace queen played this way?
Yeah, exactly. He's never folding that, I don't think.
I like your play. I mean, I don't know what the results are. What are the results?
Yeah, and I didn't actually tell you him. He tanks for, probably 2-3 minutes.
And we went. And by the way, people are saying we get snapped by ace king all day. That's what we want. We beat ace king. Anyways,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually just throws in a chip. He was super frustrated about it, and I turn over my hand immediately because I knew I was good after he tanked for that.
Sure,
long.
of course. Right?
And he just kind of shakes his head and he flashes me an ace and mucks.
Okay. Yeah. So he did have an ace.
Yeah, he told me later on he had ace 10 suited.
There you go. I mean, that's got to be one hell of a dynamic for him to expect you to like. Would you have called down with kings or queens as played? Would you have called the turn in river?
Definitely the turn. I would have thought about it, but if he leads for the same sizing on the turn and then bets 185 on the river, I mean, I'm gonna be wrong a lot because he's gonna have an ace there. But with kings and queens on the river, 8 of spades and bricks out, I think I call. I just call. I obviously don't jam over the top of them.
Well, see, that's where people go. And again, when I go over this hand tomorrow on the flagship podcast, my worst call in the history, it kind of fits right into this. That's where people go a little bit wrong with the hand reading because, okay, like his line might be bizarre, but if there's some dynamic where you'll call with kings or queens, I could sometimes get on board with it. But where people don't put the extra hand reading in is that like once you raise, you're not turning kings or queens into a bluff. So I know he's got ace 10, but still, right? Still, and And the other thing too is that I would play ace king the same way. I mean, you have better than ace king here, but how do you not, if you're gonna, how do you not play ace king the same way if you play ace five this way? Asking people in the live chat. So it's not like the hero in this spot, if we're the villain and we bet and we block ace 10, can't have better hands if he's going to jam ace king, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, would you play ace king the same way?
yeah. No, I would have played ace king exactly the same way.
You should.
Yeah, no, because I mean board paired. I mean, yeah, for sure. Because like you said 3 or 4 times, I have better than ace king in the spot. So, and ace king is probably because most of the time he's going to be showing up there. What with like ace, like his strong aces, ace queen, ace jack. I mean, I wouldn't really put ace 10 into his range,
Right.
but it was suited as as they
I
famously
mean,
say.
that's bizarre. I mean, the line by him is really bizarre. Check call in a 3-bet pot and lead with ace 10 is kind of
Lead into me twice with ace 10.
yeah.
I thought the same.
That
I
must
thought
have
it was a
been
little weird.
that must have been one hell of a dynamic, right?
No, I'm telling you, it really was. He thinks I had it out for him, so it worked out in my favor.
All right, Mark. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.